Did you hear that?
Hear what?
Here, it's in the paper. Take a look.
See what?
The company asked me. Made a lot of enemies in his day.
Who are you talking about?
The great detective, the bloodhound of Baker Street.
You mean Holmes?
Yeah.
You mean the Sherlock Holmes?
Take a look.
I can't believe it.
Right there.
Dead and vanished. His body never found.
Right there in black and white.
It's in the papers. Sherlock Holmes, he's dead.
It is with a heavy heart that I take up my pen to write these last words about my best and wisest man I've ever known, my friend, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. It has been about 6 months since we last seen Holmes. Word had it that he's been living a solitary life, his days spent amid the books in his rooms on Baker Street. Soon, however, he would undertake the final case of his remarkable career, and I would be there, once again at his side, till the very end. The events began with the arrival of a letter.
My dear Watson, it has been far too long since I've had the pleasure of your company. Please join me here tonight at Baker Street. It is a matter of some urgency. I shall expect you to arrive before midnight, and I trust it will not trouble you to scramble over the back garden wall and enter through the cellar. Till then, please greet Mrs. Watson for me, and know that I remain very truly yours.
Sherlock Holmes.
Watson, good evening.
Good evening.
Your first question involves the late hour that I've summoned you, the absence of any servants to see you in, and the need to scurry over my fence like a ferret.
Something along those lines, yes?
All will be explained, dear friend, all in due time. Wedlock suits you, Watson.
Doesn't that?
I believe you've put on 7.5 pounds since I last saw you.
7?
Indeed, I should think it's a little more than that.
Nope, 7 exactly.
What's that there in your pocket?
Oh, I grabbed the cellar door was quite stuck.
Huh, there we are. 7 exactly. Do you hear it, Watson? Do you hear that voice?
It's glorious.
It speaks to me in a sound which is seemingly beyond reason. What I hear in that voice is not the fierce precision of music, but the incomparable sound of
Love.
nonsense. So, your wife is away?
Yes, just for... Wait, how do you know she's away?
How do I know anything? How do I know that you recently resumed the practice of medicine? That you hired a careless servant girl, went for a long country walk in bad weather, and moved your dressing table to the other side of the room? Oh, don't look so dumbfounded, Watson.
But how could you surmise all of that?
Too simple to talk about. There's a bulge in your breast coat pocket where you clearly conceal your stethoscope, to say nothing of the faint smell of idiophorm, a known antiseptic. Only a dullard would fail to mark you as an active medical man.
And what
Yes, and furthermore, I see 6 nearly parallel cuts on the inside of your left shoe, where a particularly malignant servant girl has clumsily scraped around the edges in a vain attempt to remove the encrusted mud.
from my long country walk.
Exactly.
And what of my dressing table?
Your face is badly shaved on the right. For as long as I've known you, Watson, it's been badly shaved on the left. The light must be better on one side than it is the other. And since you very well couldn't move your window, you've obviously moved your dressing table.
Amazing.
Elementary, my dear fellow.
If only I could see what you see.
Oh, you see, Watson, but you do not observe. The distinction is clear.
To you, perhaps.
As clear as the missing waistcoat button, and yesterday's boutonniere and today's lapel.
I told you my wife is away.
Yes, I know.
Trouble in the street, I warned.
Watson, please do not open that door.
No, I was simply just going...
I must insist you and I are here in secret. I have sent Mrs. Hudson home.
Yes, for the evening, of course.
For the duration, until the game is ended.
The game.
Now, you said your wife is away for a fortnight.
Yes.
And your practice, is it busy at present?
Nothing out of the ordinary.
So it would afford you time away.
Sure, if need be.
Oh, there is great need, Watson. You and I must travel the continent for 1 full week.
Why?
There's a man in London. A great, brilliant, and terrible man. His name is Moriarty. Have you heard of him?
Never.
He's insidious, Watson. He virtually pervades all of London. Everything that is foul, from Hammersmith to Blackwall. All the work of Moriarty. He's the Napoleon of crime. He sits in his web like a spider. If there is a crime to be committed, a house to be looted, a man to be removed, you can be sure that the professor has authorized it.
Sounds
And
monstrous.
though the agent who carries out the plan may be caught, the master himself never ever leaves a trace.
Certainly sounds monstrous.
I quite admire him. He's a professor, author, and abstract thinker. I can highly recommend his treatise on the dynamics of an asteroid.
Still in all,
London would be a singularly uninteresting place without Moriarty.
how could you say that?
Watson, my days are sterile. My nights pass without note. Audacity and romance seem to have passed for the criminal world from forever, save for the grand malevolence of this good professor.
Well, I, for one, am glad that he's met his match.
No, my friend, I have met mine. Try as I might for nearly 6 months to find the evidence to convict Moriarty, it has eluded me. But then he made a slip. One slip. And from it, I began to weave together the various strands of his enterprise. Over 40 unsolved crimes, and trace them back to the man himself.
So you've done it, Holmes.
Yes,
Captured the spider within his own web.
precisely what I was thinking, as I was out for my evening stroll. And a pile of bricks came down from the roof, shattering at my feet, missing my head by nearly inches.
Good heavens.
And attached to this explosive projectile, a note.
I know you, Holmes. I know every move in your tired little game. You wish to place me in the dock, but I shall never stand in the dock. You hope to defeat me, but you shall never defeat me. You plan night and day for my destruction, but rest assured, Mr. Holmes, I am planning night and day for the destruction of you.
We are two men who share a shadow. Our every move betrays us one to the other.
So he's not been apprehended.
Not yet. The rest of Moriarty and his men has happened all at once, all on the same day.
Yes, of course.
And because it takes the police 1 week to organize the plan, you and I must leave London at once. And when we return, there will follow the greatest criminal trial of the century. The game is afoot, Watson, and it is a dangerous one. For your own safety, you must follow my instructions to the letter. Is that clear?
Of course.
Now, make your way out through the pantry and exit by way of the coal chute. And should you change your mind, given your current marriage and happiness,
I assure you,
I shall not hesitate to travel alone.
my mind is made, Holmes.
Very well. My Boswell shall be lost without you.
What's that noise? They're coming this way.
Go.
They've heard our voices.
The music.
Get the lights. Where should we hide? Holmes! Sherlock Holmes!
Irene. Oh, Irene. I shall need that replaced.
Who's there?
I might ask the same of you.
I'm here for the great detective Sherlock Holmes.
Is he been invited to a masquerade?
I sent a note to this address informing Mr. Holmes that I will call.
Yes, my maid is away and the mail has not been retrieved.
Yes, I know. I found my note on the doorstep.
And since it is unsigned, whom might I say came to call?
I'm not at liberty to say, but you may tell Mr. Holmes this. My visit concerns a matter that could affect the whole of your industry.
By which you mean the House of Ormstein, hereditary kings of Bohemia.
I've said no such thing.
You didn't have to. It's here in your note. Observe, Watson, the paper.
It's quite expensive, I should think, huh?
Yes, the stationery of somebody extremely well-to-do. And if one holds it up to light, he can see various letters woven into the strands of the paper.
The monogram of its author?
Not at all. The G and a T stand for Gesellschaft, which is German for company. The P, of course, stands for paper. And the EG, I deduce, stands for Agria, a small German-speaking country in Germany, known for its glass factories and paper mills.
Astonishing. So the paper itself was made in Bohemia?
And the man who wrote the note is German.
How can you tell?
Notice the third sentence. This account of all your skills from all quarters we have received. It falls on the ear like a boulder. That sentence could never be written by an Italian or a Frenchman.
You are the man himself. You are the great Sherlock Holmes.
And you are Wilhelm Gastreich Sigismund von Ormstein, Grand Duke of Kassel-Felstein, hereditary king of Bohemia.
At your service. Oh, what an honor this is, Mr. Holmes. Your reputation, sir, precedes you.
As does, sir, your Bavarian cologne. This is my colleague, Dr. Watson.
Pleasure. I would prefer, Mr. Holmes, to speak to you alone.
Whatever you say before me, you may say before this gentleman.
Yes, but if it were not for...
It is both or none.
Very well. My case is of the utmost urgency.
They always are.
In 2 weeks' time, I shall marry Clotilda Lothman von Saxe-Meningen, the second daughter of His Royal Highness the King of Scandinavia.
You have my condolences.
But before I marry, I must put to rest a terrible scandal, a tawdry episode from my past which can affect this union and thus the course of nations. You, Mr. Holmes, are my only hope.
Well, thank you so much for that. And I'll have you know that I am a great admirer of the entire Carpathian region.
Why, thank you, sir.
But, owing to comparable urgency in my own life, at present I am taking no more cases.
So it is true what they say. You are a thinking machine and nothing more.
I beg your pardon?
Is your heart so cold you cannot hear that voice?
Well, what does that mean?
The scandal of my life involves that voice, that face, that opera diva par excellence. Her face as beautiful as nature's finest flower.
By which you mean to say
Her mind as sharp as a knife.
that the woman you speak of is Miss Irene Adler?
Indeed she is. I shall check the index. Do you know her, Mr. Holmes?
Only from afar. I've long admired her performances.
Perhaps it's time you met. Some 5 years ago, Miss Adler and I became romantically entangled. Over the course of the affair, I wrote her some very compromising letters, as well as giving her a photograph. And now,
And now,
happens
with your royal wedding pending, you were desirous of getting these items back.
precisely. Accordions, acrobatics, abdication.
Was there a secret pact between you and Miss Adler?
No,
Nothing signed by both parties?
no.
Then you have nothing to fear.
But what are the letters I wrote?
You simply claim they were inauthentic,
My handwriting?
forged,
My personal stationery?
stolen,
My private seal?
imitated,
But what of the photograph?
purchased.
Yes, but you see,
What I see, sir, is that there is no case here. You are free to marry your Scandinavian nymph and think no more of it.
but the photograph is of the both of us.
Is it by chance blurred?
No, perfectly clear.
Are you standing apart from one another?
Arm in arm.
Amidst, thrown together on the street amidst a crowd.
On the terrace of a remote villa overlooking the sea.
Do you or she look somewhat glum?
No, we are the very picture of love.
Ah, now we have something.
There was nothing at all found to Adler. Nothing whatsoever between actinium and aerodynamics.
That photograph must be recovered.
We have tried and failed.
Purchased then.
She won't sell it.
Stolen.
5 attempts have been made without success. She has threatened to send the photograph to my bride's father on our wedding day.
Well, this is quite the three-pipe problem.
Ah, you'll never believe this. She was found to I for Irene, right between incandescence and irritability. How very fitting. Holmes, I've never known you to index someone under their first name. What could be the reason?
Clerical error.
No, but see,
Read the card, Watson.
Adela Irene, born 1865, Sussex, New Jersey, educated abroad, triumphant debut in La Scala in 1887.
Which she began her reign as the foremost operatic soprano in all of Europe.
Legendary performances in Paris, Berlin, Warsaw, Milan.
Her unparalleled Contessa in Figaro.
Her unforgettable Marguerite in Faust.
Her early retirement from the operatic stage in 1891.
Says her current whereabouts are unknown. You seem to know every move, Mr. Holmes.
I admire her performances, nothing more.
And her face.
What of it?
Have you not seen it?
I have her recordings, that is sufficient.
You're telling me you wouldn't be able to recognize her if you passed her on the street?
Like the card says, her whereabouts are a mystery.
There is no mystery, Mr. Holmes. She's here.
In London.
Bryony Lodge, Serpentine Avenue, St. John's Wood. I shall make those necessary corrections. Now, as Mr. Holmes informed you, he is no longer taking cases at the present.
Now, you say your wedding is in 2 weeks' time.
That's Holmes.
Where?
A castle in the Swiss Alps.
Very well. I shall require 300 pounds of gold to cover my expenses.
You cannot be serious.
You are to make yourself completely invisible, staying here in this flat out of sight.
But the preparations for my wedding.
By all means, man, leave that to your bride. Nothing but agony awaits the man who involves himself in his own wedding.
Holmes, this matter does not require your attention. Clearly, the king is in no real danger here.
Watson, know this. This may be the final case and our final adventure. Time is short.
We must leave the city. You said so yourself.
Yes.
Think of Moriarty and the
I am
threats
thinking
upon your
of
life.
nothing else. Good night.
Morning arrived, and Holmes set off for Bryony Lodge, with yours truly racing after him. Once there, we encountered a man and woman rushing out the door and into the street. The man was calling for a carriage, and upon securing one, he shouted to the driver,
The Church of St. Monica, and drive like the devil.
upon which Holmes hailed a cab and shouted the very same thing. We reached the church immediately behind them and watched as the man and woman emerged from their cab and they ran inside, whereupon they fell into conversation with a hastily procured clergyman. As we observed these developments in secret from the rear of the church, suddenly a voice rang out.
You there!
You'll do. Beg your pardon?
Come up here this instant! Let's have a witness or it won't be legal.
Holmes was half dragged to the altar and in no more than 3 minutes' time had successfully fulfilled the role of witness at the wedding of
Mr. Godfrey Norton.
I did.
and a woman whose face he saw for the very first time when she lifted her veil.
Miss Irene Adler.
I do.
And that face.
You may now kiss the bride.
Tell me your wishes, whatever they are, I will.
Take me away.
Of course I will.
Attend to your business and then go directly to my home. I'll be waiting for you there. Go on. How fortunate. Wouldn't you agree?
I'm sorry.
How lucky it is that you were here.
To which Holmes managed to say absolutely nothing.
Please, take this. In remembrance of this day.
It was a white rose.
The genus Rosa, from the prehistoric Germanic Latin root. Some scholars believe derives from the Greek rodon, of Iranian, or perhaps failing that, uncertain origin.
To which Miss Adler said, well, absolutely nothing.
That face, Watson. That face. It is a face that a man might die for.
She has married someone else?
Indeed she has.
I can't bear it.
And please refrain from smashing my things.
And this new husband, who is he?
That is the question I posed to Mr. Norton's livery driver under the guise of conducting a survey of airborne manure particles in Greater London. I learned that Mr. Godfrey Norton is an attorney who met and consoled Miss Adler after a tumultuous relationship with a certain roguish nobleman. There followed a rapid courtship, bested only by the speed of the nuptials themselves.
And now that she's married, there's no more need to blackmail the king, and we can be on our way.
Yes, but what if the photograph fell into her husband's hands? He too could use it against the king.
Oh, that's true. What could it be? Can't you hazard a guess?
I never guess. It's an occupational hazard. Now, is the photograph small enough to be worn as a locket?
No. In fact, it's...
Then, she can't hide it on her person.
Perhaps she has entrusted it to someone.
No, I fear not, Watson. Women are secretive. I believe that she has hidden it somewhere.
Somewhere far away.
No, very nearby. She's told us as such.
How?
When she threatened to send it on the day of your wedding.
But where?
I believe it is in her home.
We've had a home burgled a number of times.
Your burglars did not know where to look.
Oh, and you do?
Her new husband will tell me.
Oh, do you think he knows?
Certainly not.
Well, how will you even get entrance to the house? Do you expect he'll just invite you in?
I suspect that he will carry me in.
Carry you?
Yes.
He will carry you into his home and give you the secret location of a photograph he doesn't even know exists.
Precisely. Now you've got it. If you'll excuse me.
Oh! You ruffians, get out of here!
Oh,
This way, father.
oh, don't trouble yourself.
To his side.
Oh, thank
Easy
you.
now, have a seat.
So kind, sir. It breaks a poor clergyman's heart.
Pardon?
Those ruffians outside grabbing for an old woman's purse.
I should not have jumped into the fray, father.
Have the policeman called,
Oh, no, I dispersed it myself.
but they may wish to.
No, think no one of the police. Let me cut off with maid. Here she is.
This is for you, monsieur.
You're too kind.
And may I take your hat?
That won't be necessary.
Oh, okay, monsieur.
Such a lovely home. Looks to have been in the family for ages.
Actually, it belongs to my wife.
Does it now?
Yes, we recently married. I just moved in, father.
Oh, at the Church of St. Monica by chance.
Yes.
With Father Murphy presiding.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Oh, God bless you, son. And I hope you don't mind a bit of fatherly counsel. In his home, a man needs a place to keep his private things. And his wife must know that come what may, she is never to disturb this place.
I take your point.
And I'm sure that your wife has a place like this, and heaven help the man who stumbles upon her little pantry of discretion.
Yes, of course. My wife's case is her music cabinet.
You see there?
She keeps her voice scores and her opera recordings all locked away.
And all the better for you that they are. Now, tell me, how long has it been since your last confession?
Well,
And how are you feeling, Father?
Hanson, much better, thank you.
Marie, that'll be all.
Just finishing up, madame.
I said that is all.
Oui, madame.
Father Hanson, are you familiar with my wife?
I regret to say that I'm not.
Godfrey, please.
This This remarkable woman was at one time the most celebrated singer in Europe, until a man she loved shattered her heart.
Ah,
She never sung again.
what a great loss.
Oh, the world is full of singers, Father. It's your work that truly interests me. To wrestle with the great questions, to confront the mysteries of each soul gone astray, and with cunning and diligence to solve them. How I envy you for that.
Huh. Yes, well,
Pray for me, won't you?
So it was all an act.
The London stage lost a great talent when Holmes devoted his life to the criminal line.
But the blood.
Just a bit of red paint is all.
mixed to the proper consistency.
And clapped to the face in the midst of the scrum.
But all the young hooligans.
The Baker Street Irregulars.
And a lady with the purse?
One of ours.
It takes enormous planning to produce a random event.
Two nights later, under the cloak of darkness, Holmes returned to Bryony Lodge to retrieve the photograph. When next we saw him at Baker Street, he stood before us. His face was ashen, his eyes fierce with wonder.
On reaching the sitting room, I went directly to the music cabinet. It was unlocked. And furthermore, it was empty. I was about to close the door in haste when I looked down at the bottom of the music cabinet. I found this note.
My dear Mr. Holmes, you really are as good as promised. Your disguise may have fooled my husband and the staff, but knowing the king would hire only the best, I suspected you from the start. One actor can never fool another. As I am not of noble birth, the king thought me unworthy to be his queen, crushed me beneath his boot. Still, I regret nothing. I have no intentions of blackmailing the king. However, I intend to hold on to the photograph as a weapon against any future reprisals. For his part, Mr. Norton has married me for the woman that I am, not for the woman he wishes me to be. How rare to find that in a man. As you read this note, he and I shall be journeying off to America to begin our new life together. Though you and I shall never meet again, Mr. Holmes, please know that I will forever remain truly yours.
Irene Adler Norton. In my long career, I've only been bested 3 times. 2 times by a man, and now once, and only once, by a woman.
What a queen she would have made.
Still in all, it's done. You have the report that you requested.
So clever and resolute.
Yes, indeed.
Such cunning, such bravery of spirit.
Now, if you don't mind,
Finest thing under a bonnet on this planet.
I shall see you on your way.
Watson, do you presume that Miss Adler knew that I was aware of the photograph's location?
Yes, that's why she left it for you to see in the cabinet.
Then why was the cabinet unlocked?
She wanted to be certain that you'd find it, of course.
Yes, but she would not want anyone else to find it. Her husband, her maid,
I take your point, but please.
and furthermore, why does she place it face down in the cabinet where I may have missed it altogether?
Perhaps it fell.
Precisely.
So it fell. I think that is incidental.
The incidental fact is often most vital. I propose that at the moment that Miss Adler was removing the photograph, she was surprised and accosted. The photograph taken from her, the note falling to the bottom of the cabinet, the door hurriedly closed and thus left unlocked.
But if that is true, then why has she vanished to America with her husband?
Has she?
Well, it's all there in her note, clearly.
No. I believe that she is here, a prisoner in her own home under lock and key.
A prisoner of whom?
Of her marriage, of course, of Mr. Godfrey Norton.
Are you saying that you don't really think that he's a lawyer?
I fear that he is that and more. His monogram is upon this handkerchief given to me by a careless maid.
His initials JL.
He's not Godfrey Norton at all.
Open the index, Watson.
Holmes, we have not had
First
time.
name J, last name L. It all fits, don't you see? The hurried wedding, the fear of the police.
Labyrinths, ladybugs, Laplanders, Lawsonists,
A name, Watson, we need a name.
Lock-in, LaRoche, Larrabee,
Larrabee, that's it. Read on.
James. Former legal counsel, swindler, rake, confidence man of dubious morals.
That's him. Now, turn the card over and read the back.
See also
Say it, Watson.
Moriarty.
So the marriage, the whole thing, was a sham?
An ingenious one at that. And with your wedding a week away, that photograph is about to fetch an enormous ransom.
And I'll pay it.
You will do no such thing.
You're not thinking of using this ad as bait.
I would never do that.
Good.
No, sir. You are the bait. You shall take a residence here in London under your own name and remain as visible as possible.
My wedding.
Give us 2 days' time to read out an offer from Larrabee, and we shall catch Moriarty in the act.
Give the police the week they need, and they will capture Moriarty for you.
But Watson, I want to do this myself.
Holmes, why must you do this?
Because, Watson, it is delightful. Don't you see, my whole life has been a frantic escape to escape the common dreary place of life.
That's not the reason, and you know of it. The reason is that woman, that voice. She has finally cracked down your emotional defenses.
Nonsense.
Your heart at last has overthrown that head of yours.
Good night, Watson.
I met Holmes in the alley behind Bryony Lodge. For his own safety, he moved through London on this day disguised as a horse groom.
Good morning, Watson. Sleep well?
Did not, in fact.
I slept like a child. Some cold beef and a glass of beer, and off I went.
I shall rest easier once we are out of London and onto the continent.
Help me with my job. Now, I must ask a favor of you, Watson.
Certainly.
I hope that you are not above breaking the law.
Not in the least.
Good. Now, you must follow my instructions to the letter.
Of course.
And you are not to become personally involved. No matter what happens, you are not to come to my aid.
I am to remain neutral. Got it.
Exactly. You will take up a position underneath the sitting room window. Once I make my way into the house, I will open the window. And when you see me raise my left hand, you will throw this rocket into the room.
A rocket.
A smoke rocket. Nothing too formidable. It's fitted with caps on either end to make it self-lighting. And once you throw it into the room, you shall raise the cry of fire. Your cry will no doubt be taken up by many voices, but I must insist that you do not leave your position under the window.
Certainly not.
And when I raise my right hand, like so, you will blow this whistle.
A police whistle, is it not?
Yes. Once you blow the whistle, you are to walk to the corner and wait for me.
Understood. So remain neutral, stand by window, left for rocket, right for whistle, walk to corner, wait for you.
Exactly.
I'm the man for the job.
My Watson, you're the one fixed point in an ever-changing age.
One question.
Yes.
But how will you know where to look for the photograph?
The woman will tell me.
But if she is their captive, how will she speak?
She will tell me with her eyes.
And he was gone. After making certain that he was safely ensconced in the hotel, I did precisely what Holmes had asked, placing myself beneath the window at Bryony Lodge, hidden from the street by a stand of bushes. It was only now, as I waited outside that dark, forbidding home, that I began to suspect the true danger of our situation. Suddenly, this door was thrown open, and this is what I saw.
And this window, too, has bars on it.
Oui, monsieur. It allows no one inside.
Nor out, I should think.
Oh, oui, monsieur.
The owners must have left in a rush.
Pardon?
The Nortons, they must have run afoul of the law.
Oh, no. They were newlyweds. They left for America, and they never came back.
And you as their maid left to mop up after. You once lent me one of Mr. Norton's handkerchiefs, do you recall?
Oh, no, that's impossible.
But it did not bear his monogram. Instead, it had the initials JL. Isn't that odd? Oh, well. Mustn't blame the maid for the ills of the master. I'd like to see the back garden.
Oh, oui, monsieur.
Just get in here. Like I said, I ain't no safecracker. Be dear God, God rest his soul. He was the safecracker. Give him a try. These were his tools. This was his toolbox. His widow gave them to me at the wake. Yes, fine, whatever. And she said the spirit of old Colvin is still right here in this bag. The safe's over here. But Sig Prince ain't no safecracker. I'm a gun and cudgels man. And I do a bit of guessing from time to time for the professor, because I'm his right-hand man. Get your right hand working on that safe before my left hand's working on your throat. Look at the size of that monster. How about I just set some charges and blow her open? You can't blow up the safe. Hear that, Goldman? He won't let me do what I does best, which is scatter some dead things about. Heidi ho, he's here. Oh, Goldman's gonna help me crack it. Oh, good God.
He's here.
What?
He's in the kitchen. Claims to be viewing the property.
Are you sure no one's got the combination to this monster? My wife knows it. And you can't get it out of her?
Take me to her room. I'll get it out of her.
No, not this time, Alex.
That's all I ever do is clean up your messes. All you had to do was swindle a singer. Instead, you fall in love with her.
Pipe down, would ya? She wanted a last look at it.
What? You had it right there in your hands, right there at the music cabinet. Instead, she bats her operatic eyes, and you give it back to her.
She wanted a last look at it. Once we get it open, then we'll know what's in there.
You don't even know if it's in there.
Come on. Where she put it. That must be where she put it. After the girl. Here we go. Impossible. It's gonna be in there. It's not.
It's empty. I knew it.
But it's not. Not. Shut up, Prince.
I'll deal with your
What's
wife.
that?
You deal with Holmes.
No, much. You're intercepted. I'll crack you out of Knoxville. Go intercept him.
Intercept? He's here. He's in the bloody garden. He's here.
Yes, the garden does require a bit of attention, but the rest of the house seems to be in order.
This house, Mr. Holmes, is not for sale.
You seem to know my name, but I do not know yours.
Well, who doesn't? Norton, Godfrey Norton, my sister Margaret, and my associate, Mr. Abernathy! Dr. Abernathy!
Pleasure. I believe congratulations are in order, Mr.
Yes, what?
You're newlywed, aren't you?
Well,
Your maid told me that.
did she?
Then again, she did fail to say that she was your sister.
Oh, well, that can be explained. I just came back from America.
And your wife?
Still there. I'll join her in a fortnight.
I hear that she is quite the diva.
Where did you hear that?
From that upper window, the neighbors heard her singing last night. Her voice ringing true and clear.
You don't miss a thing, do you?
Occupational hazard.
Just think of it. The great Sherlock Holmes in our house, poking around for clues.
The truth is always out in the open.
I would have expected more, frankly, from a legend such as yourself.
That's enough now.
I thought maybe a master detective would have more parlor games up his sleeve, Mr. Holmes.
And this must be mad. I believe it was Antwerp I saw you last. I remember your fondness for Belgian chocolates and German soldiers. Bonjour. And as for Mr. Reginald Prince, I shall be glad to reunite you with your old friend Colvin.
Now look here, Mr. Holmes.
I have looked here, and here, and here, and what I believe happened in this house is an event of malevolent intent.
Nothing could be further from the truth.
I wish to see your wife, Mr. Larrabee.
I told you, she's not here.
Then why is her luggage here empty and unpacked?
That doesn't explain anything.
I am not leaving until I see her.
Well, I'll tell my dear sister-in-law that you're here.
Have you been to Bohemia, Mr. Larrabee? Wonderful country. I'm sure you'd enjoy their king. Your wife certainly did. He's to be married in a castle in Switzerland, and I'm sure his wedding will not be as rushed as your own.
What do you mean?
To the Church of St. Monica and drive like the devil.
You were there!
My dear sister-in-law tells me you wish to speak to me.
If I may for a moment, Miss Adler.
My name is Mrs. Morton.
As you wish.
You look tired, Mr. Holmes. You best not end up an old man before your time.
Heaven forbid.
You'll be just like that doddery old fellow by the name of Father Hanson.
Oh, you mean kindly. Old Father Hanson.
It was you!
Wait.
And what of me, Mr. Holmes? Does marriage agree with me?
I would say that it does not, but then again, you are no longer married.
That's absurd.
I have been to the Hall of Records and renounced my signature. Therefore, you had no witness. No witness, no marriage.
How dare you!
James, you idiot.
And as to your health, Miss Adler, you do look pale as though you haven't left this house in days.
It's true. I've not.
And why is that?
Because, Mr. Holmes, everything that I shall ever need is right here.
Of that, my dear lady, I have no doubt.
Fire! Fire! It's a fire!
Run for the door, save yourself!
Save yourself. Such good advice, Mr. Holmes. And yet, how rare the man was able to do so.
How rare indeed, Professor. Though not a surprise to see you here. I've been meaning to compliment you on your dynamics of an asteroid.
Elementary at best.
I found your conclusions on the obliquity of the ecliptic astounding.
It is, at present, an incomplete hypothesis.
One that you may complete in jail.
No, I think not. A dangerous habit, Mr. Holmes.
What is that, Professor?
To finger loaded firearms in the pocket of one's coat.
As well as to hold free hands behind one's back.
You think you can read me like a book?
No, like a primer.
To be emphatically clear, Mr. Holmes, I shall never be captured.
Not only will you be captured, but I shall testify against you.
Impossible.
Though I believe that will put you in an awkward position.
Oh, really? And what position is that?
The one typically assumed by a criminal at the end of a rope.
Well, as you know, Mr. Holmes, the lady of the house once belonged to the King of Bohemia, or Mr. Larrabee, or Mr. Norton, if you prefer. Although, she is an artist, isn't she?
Yes, and as an artist, she belongs to no one person, Professor. She belongs to everyone, the whole of London. I wouldn't do that.
I was simply reaching for my notebook.
My dear lady, I wish to cause the professor no further actions. If you wouldn't mind removing the item from his left-hand coat pocket.
Hands up. Is this the item he's looking for?
Exactly. Now, if you wouldn't mind placing it on the table. An inch closer, perhaps. Just an inch closer. Now, shall we see if he has another?
He's already told us that he does not.
When?
When he reached for that one.
Precisely. Now, Professor, is there anything else this good woman can do for you?
Can I reach for my notebook now? You know, Mr. Holmes, you have a great deal to answer for. Yes, you crossed my path on the 4th of January. Then on the 23rd, you incommoded me. And now, at the close of April, you have tricked and betrayed and placed me in a position of continual persecution. The cumulative effect of which is the imminent loss of my personal liberties.
Have you any suggestions to make?
There can be but one outcome to this affair between us.
Which would be?
Inevitable destruction.
By which you mean the destruction of you.
You won't live to see that day.
Then may I live to see no other, Professor? Because if I could be assured of your destruction, I would gladly welcome a similar fate.
Well, Mr. Holmes, that can certainly be arranged.
Mr. Holmes!
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes!
Oh, look at that. I didn't suppose you wanted to use that thing again, so I removed the cartridges. You're welcome to them.
There's nothing here. It'll finally be found.
Likely Mr. Holmes. Some clever trick to get us out of the house.
Right you are, Madge. And it appears as though your new bride, Mr. Larrabee, will tell her secret to no one, not even Mr. Holmes. Therefore, we must provide an incentive.
No, please.
Ah, serves her right.
That won't be necessary, Professor. He has told me where it is.
Impossible.
She never said a word.
Mr. Holmes!
That's it.
This is the photograph, and now that it has been recovered, this terrible episode is at an end.
What shall be at an end, Mr. Holmes? It's you.
You want us to plug him one, Captain?
Not just yet.
Well, at least get your hands in the air. And the other one?
By all means.
Oh, bugger me britches!
I hear them outside. You may leave, Holmes, but you will not be taking that photograph.
I have no intention of doing so, Professor. The rightful owner is here.
He's giving it back to her.
You can't be serious.
Mr. Holmes!
Go now. There is nothing to fear.
You surprised me, Holmes. I was under the impression you cared for that woman. So why then would you entreat her to leave the one place in London where she is safe? On the back! Follow her! You know, Mr. Holmes, I sat with your dear Irene earlier today on her bed, our hands entwined. And as I wiped a tear from her cheek, she spoke of you. If only I hadn't deceived Mr. Holmes. Perhaps then he would come to my aid and protect me.
That, Professor, is exactly what I've done.
What you've done, Mr. Holmes, is send that woman you love to her death. Have a good evening, Mr. Holmes.
The tea, Watson?
Yes.
Weak.
I'm sorry.
The eggs?
Yes.
Hard as rocks. The sausage is improperly browned, and the toast and seeming deference to the meat burned beyond recognition. Oh, how I miss the comforting sound of Miss Hudson's stately tread.
I remind you, you sent Miss Hudson home for her own sake.
Yes, but do try harder this evening, Watson. I cannot bear another meal like this.
Once we are onto the continent, we will dine easier.
Pardon me, gentlemen. I wonder if I may make an ever so slight interjection.
Certainly.
You gave it back to her?
Exactly.
Oh,
So that's an end to it.
I've had a call this morning, Watson, from Inspector Lestrade of Scotland Yard.
Have they begun the arrests?
They will presently.
Perfect. Just as you planned.
Yes, with one exception. The authorities no longer have the evidence needed to convict Moriarty.
Well, it's impossible. Just a couple of days ago, they had all the witnesses lined up.
And they remained lined up in a neat little row at the city morgue. Bullet here, vial of poison there, the deep and unforgiving murder.
It's hideous.
And brilliant as well. Each of the murders is untraceable, which means Moriarty must now be caught in a crime that he is personally involved.
But Holmes, the only reason that he would involve himself would be to encounter you.
Precisely, I shall be the one that convicts him.
No, you cannot do it, Holmes.
Listen to me.
You cannot walk right into his trap.
We are fortunate in this regard. Moriarty is aware of our involvement with the king. So, Your Highness, we shall press on.
what did you say?
Holmes.
Now, I took it upon myself to get your mail this morning.
You what?
2 letters arrived. The first letter sent to your hotel. The second letter delivered here by courier. A young man, slight build, fair face, oversized cap.
I am to appoint Sherlock Holmes as my proxy. He will place £5,000 cash into a valise, and then he will meet a carriage with wooden shutters, which will take him alone directly to Miss Adler.
Whereupon, in exchange for the money, she will give me the photograph.
It is the best of all worlds.
Not so. The letter is a fake.
How do you know? What?
The reason for the shuttered carriage is clear. Whoever sent this note wants to put me fully at their mercy. And that can only mean
Moriarty.
But that's impossible.
Why?
Because the second letter is from Moriarty. Why would he both write me a letter and forge me a letter?
the answer will soon be clear.
In this letter, he states,
What is it?
he states that Miss Adler is dead, murdered by one of his own men.
My God.
He claims he has the photograph and will demand payment from me this evening.
It says here that you're to wait for him here alone.
He truly is a master of the game.
Is that all you have to say? My queen, my Venus has been murdered, and you feel nothing?
Yes, the cruelty is complete. Larrabee deceived her. You abandoned her. And now Moriarty has destroyed her. These are the facts before us. These are the spoils of love.
But you must do something.
And you shall write out a reply to Miss Adler.
But what of the first letter?
Even though it is a fake, you really have no talent for this, do you? You shall write out a reply as though unaware of the letter, telling Miss Adler you accept her terms and shall send me with the money. Watson, your pen. Now, there's a bank around the corner. Have the money wired there. Pick it up immediately.
But
And place it in this valise.
where shall I post my reply?
Don't worry about that. We shall take care of that. Now,
We already will have my money.
no, I will have that as well. Now,
Doesn't get his money, he'll kill me.
yes, it may be very unpleasant, but get to the back of this instant.
You never answered his question why the professor would send 2 letters.
He wouldn't, and he didn't.
What's that mean?
They're both forged. The first letter, as I've theorized, is from Moriarty,
And the second?
from the woman herself.
You saying she's alive?
Oh, yes.
But for her own safety, why has she not left the city? I don't understand.
She is a woman, Watson, and therefore she lives for confrontation. Furthermore, she is a diva. She will never rest until she has found the 2 men that have broken her heart.
But what of the third man, the one that saved her life?
Take the king's note. I would like you to wait outside, and after 5 minutes, enter with the money.
But what if your carriage does not stop there?
Well then, go straight to the police. Report my disappearance. Remember me fondly. And write my adventures in your book. Oh, by the way, Watson, you still carry matches?
Yes, of course.
Excellent. I shall see you tonight.
I stepped outside with the king's note, and no sooner had I lifted it into the air when...
To be posted then.
Oh, yes, thank you. 1 hour later, the king returned, the valise now filled with money, a royal ransom, as he called it, fit for a queen. For my part, I doused the rags with the chemicals which Holmes had prepared, the smell of which nearly drove me from the room. I wrung them out, hid them inside the valise as directed, and then I posted a letter to my wife, Mary, telling her nothing of my exploits and only of my love. As darkness fell, a shuttered carriage pierced the fog. I watched as Holmes climbed inside, wondering all the while whether I'd seen the last of my dear friend. Then I hailed a cab of my own and gave chase.
The last one, Mr. Prince. When did you do the last one?
About 2 days ago.
That witness from the Underwood trial.
Oh, Bassett, you mean? Nah, we gutted him.
Well, that's when they're for the railroad job.
Oh, Cragen? Nah, he left to his death.
Oh, pity, pity.
It was O'Hagan, the policeman who kept poking about. I guessed him real nice and dumped him in the quarry.
Yes, the gas. Hardly a trace of the smell left.
I aired it out completely.
Excellent. And what's of the lamp?
Electric. Completely safe. No flame at all.
Very good. Very good.
Whoa there!
What?
You can't do that. What do you want to do? Blow us all into next week?
You said you had out the room.
Yeah, but still,
You haven't even turned the gas on.
I haven't yet.
So I don't see what harm it would do.
It'll do no harm for sure if you light no matches.
No mistakes tonight, Larrabee.
Tell it the prince. He's the one he should be worried about.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means what it means.
Well, aren't you just a poet?
Enough.
Aren't you just a silver-tongued romancer who couldn't even
How
get
dare
a
you
piece
talk
of
He's talking like talking
Right, Larrabee!
Okay?
That woman will prove your undoing. Have you got the rope to tie him with?
Done!
And you're certain the room is airtight?
Completely sealed. I made sure myself.
Excellent. And this door, any outlet here?
Nah, just a closet. I keep my guns and cuddles in there.
No. No shooting tonight, you understand? No matter what happens, no shot is to be fired. Can be heard from the alley. And those high windows, what of them?
Spike down solid, sir.
Okay, excellent. Now, you gotta remember, Mr. Holmes is not just any man. Underestimate him at your peril. You might break that glass.
And run into the iron bars right behind it.
And the doorway.
Spike down. Locked solid.
Excellent. Then secure it from the outside.
Secured by 2 iron bolts and a huge metal bar.
Okay, good. And this delivers gas?
Yeah, that's what delivers the gas. You turn that wheel 3 times, and you got all the gas you could hope for.
But what stops the victim from rushing over and turning it off?
I put a locking mechanism on it right here. 3 turns, and the gas won't stop it coming.
Excellent. Very good. Excellent.
I try to do everything perfect. Shut.
Would you shut your measly trap?
You shut your music trap. I don't want to hear it from you anymore. You're giving me
I'm tired of you. Governor this and governor that.
You're that stupid. Knock it off.
Dogs! Is that it? Are we nothing but dogs?
Here's how it will go, Larrabee. Mr. Holmes believes he's coming to meet Miss Adler. You shall have exactly 2 minutes alone with him, during which time you'll explain the photograph now belongs to us. You will make certain he has brought the money. When Mr. Prince and I appear, you shall disarm him and tie him to that chair. We shall then give Mr. Holmes a proper send-off to the hereafter.
What about the money?
I'll be taking the money with me.
That was not our arrangement.
Our arrangement, Larrabee, was that all profits would be subject to the usual division.
But I'm the one who got.
And in this case, the usual division means I get what I want and refrain from killing you. Is that clear? 2 minutes. Not a whisker more. Conference.
For better and for worse. In sickness and in health.
Irene,
Till death
how did you?
do us part.
No, please.
Say I do.
I do.
I can't hear you.
I do.
Do you lie to me, darling?
I do.
Did you tell me that your name is Godfrey Norton?
I do.
And even though your name is James Larrabee and you're a crook and a cad and a wanted man, do you capture and imprison me and sell me out without even a second thought? And do you know how that feels, James? How it feels to be completely heartbroken and humiliated and helpless? Completely and utterly helpless!
I love you, Irene.
And do you think that that will save you? Because it won't, darling. Do you know that I am going to kill you and then never think of you again?
I do.
Good. I now pronounce us man and woman. Charming place here, James.
Irene, what is that?
Simple, really. I followed you here. Snuck inside while you were chatting with your driver. From that closet, I heard everything.
Are you mad?
I'm the woman that you've made of me.
Do you know what he'll do with you if Moriarty finds you here?
You won't honor before Mr. Holmes. Remember?
You will if I call him.
And if you do that, I'll use this. I want a new life, James, and for that I need resources. In exchange for the king's money, I shall give you this photograph. Oh, so simple, really. A man and a woman standing beside the sea. From one image, 1,000 complications are born.
Give it to me, I'll get you the money.
I heard Moriarty. Money's not yours to give.
Irene, listen to me.
How long are you really going to let Moriarty treat you like a child? I'm going to turn the tables on it.
What are you saying?
Saying that when Holmes arrives with the money, tell him you have the photograph. When he asks to see it, direct him to that closet where I'll be waiting. And when Moriarty appears, give him what he deserves.
You wouldn't.
I I've shot tenors, James. After that, a woman can shoot anything.
Sadler?
We shall divide the money equally. We'll be free from Moriarty, and I'll be free to start my new life. Well, James, are you ready to be your own man,
Sadler, are you there?
or not?
I am. Good evening, Mr. Holmes. You're right on time.
You seem to know my name, but do not know yours.
It's Norton Coffee Norton. The photograph is now in my possession.
Miss Sadler mentioned nothing of the sort.
It is a recent development.
Like the twitch in your left eye?
Pardon?
Seems to move in the direction of that closet.
Oh, yes, and this is why. You find the photograph waiting there.
And what has become of Miss Sadler?
I'm not at liberty to say, but first, Mr. Holmes, I shall need to see the money. Did you bring the full amount?
My associate will be bringing it with him shortly.
You were told to bring it. Come along.
Mr. Holmes. What a pleasure.
I find it a great disappointment, Doctor. After a long ride in a shuttered cab, I thought you'd show me something new.
You've been here before.
I have. As a matter of fact, we nabbed one of Mr. Prince's associates, a safecracker named Colvin. Dragged him out of that closet by his heels.
Never heard of him before.
And you certainly never heard of him after.
Times have changed, Mr. Holmes.
Indeed they have, Professor. I see that you're no longer using the room for counterfeiting. All the cracks and crevices seem to have been sealed with caulk. How long did that take you, Mr. Prince?
I don't have any idea what you're talking about.
Odd then. That very same caulk is there on your knee.
What's that?
It is the sleeve of a woman's blouse that implicates her. With a man, it is the knees of his trousers.
You are overmatched, Mr. Prince.
Now, it is certain that the gas, once released, shall never escape this room, nor will the man tied to this chair with this rope. You shall take my money and leave me for dead.
Once again, Mr. Holmes, your deduction is accurate.
Thank you so much.
However, this time there will be no transaction.
But Mr. Larrabee assured me if I stepped into that closet, I would find the photograph.
Larrabee?
In fact, I think I shall do so now.
What is he talking about?
Not until we see the money.
As you wish.
Holmes,
Watson, come in.
Who is this?
good evening.
Watson, we were just discussing a neat little plan to asphyxiate me.
Is the money in there?
Indeed it is. Now, there we are. And there's that as well, Professor. Shots could be heard in the alley, isn't that correct? Now, I'm going to retrieve that photograph.
Holmes,
Watson, you have nothing to fear.
Larrabee.
I got the gun away from
This was not the plan!
I got the gun away from him. The closet is full of them. And there's the money. The money. What you wanted the money?
No!
What's that?
Holmes.
Get in there!
Oh my God! Get her up, get her. Put it down. Easy, set it out.
Watson, I have long imagined this day. Since I heard Mrs. Adler's performance of Cleopatra, where upon her death she is brought on stage, and the tenor sings an aria, Vino Adamine, until tomorrow. I've long imagined what it must feel like for a man to lose the woman of his dreams.
What have you done to her?
I might ask the same of you, Mr. Larrabee. Was it not enough to deceive her and break her heart? You also had to snuff out her life, a life that she so willingly placed in your hands?
That's a lie. I never touched her.
See, I knew we couldn't trust
Shut up, both of you!
cries of innocence fail to account for this. I found it stuffed in her mouth. The monogram upon the handkerchief, Mr. Larrabee, is yours.
That's impossible.
Quiet.
Now, Professor, it had been my intention to testify against you, but I see that is no longer necessary. As a matter of fact, I don't believe I'm going to leave this room at all.
What?
Why would I? When gathered here are my most trusted friend, my most formidable adversary, and the one and true love of my life.
What are you getting at, Holmes?
This is the key. It shall open the valise. It must be turned in a clockwise fashion like so, 3 times. Make sure that the king has sent the money.
Well,
What's that hissing sound?
What's that? What is that sound?
Prince! What's going on?
He's turned on the gas. I can smell
Well, turn it up!
I can't buzz it. It's locked.
Dog, get it open!
Watson, do you have a light?
Yes, sir.
Holmes. Holmes, you wouldn't.
Yes, I know. It is a dangerous habit.
No, please,
But
just
then,
listen to me.
again, as you know, danger is part of my trade.
No, don't. No! After the go! What's going on here? What the devil? No! After them!
It didn't blow. I smelled the gas. Why didn't it blow?
Where's the photograph?
Gone.
And the money?
Gone.
Any sign of them out there?
They're not here. They're gone.
This can't be.
I told you, Larrabee! I told you that woman will be the death of you! Ah!
And we were off. Out the building and towards the street, whereupon we gathered in a nearby alley awaiting a carriage.
Thrilling, wasn't it, Watson?
No, you gave me quite the fright.
Miss Adler came up with most of the plan herself,
Based on a scene from a Spanish opera.
and we improvised the rest right there.
But Holmes, the gas. I don't understand. How did you...
The chemical mixtures on the rag replicated the smell of the gas perfectly.
But that flywheel, the valve that released the gas, when you lit that match, we could have all been...
Before I answer, Watson, you must confess yourself utterly taken aback.
I confess it.
I should have you sign a paper to that effect.
Why?
Because when I give you the answer, you will say how utterly simple it was and smack your hand against your forehead.
Do nothing of the kind.
Very well then. The gas enters the building through a pipe in the alley. Today I sent a man to cap the pipe, leaving nothing but air to flow through the lines.
It is so absurdly simple.
Indeed it is.
Now, Watson, we must hurry to the train station. Do you have the instructions that I gave you?
Yes.
No, forget them. I have new instructions here. I have a plan. One that will see us safely out of London and on the way to Switzerland, where upon the eve of his wedding, we shall return to photograph and complete our business with the king. They were to secure 2 seats on the first train to Paris, making certain to book them under an alias and an overland passage to the Swiss Alps. Is that clear?
Yes, 2 seats to Paris right away.
3 seats. Please book the passage for 3, Dr. Watson.
That won't be necessary. 2 shall suffice.
But 3 are required.
Listen to me, Watson. 2 seats.
3.
Miss Adler.
And I won't hear another word about it.
Watson, would you please inform Miss Adler that our journey is one of great danger?
Yes, of course.
And will you please tell Miss Holmes that I too have unfinished business with the king?
That's
and
very-
no amount of danger shall dissuade me.
Very well, but
Miss Adler, you must understand, my work and my life are nearly at an end. And you need to involve yourself in the final chapter. Watson, secure 2 seats.
And you must understand this. A woman may be courted and wed, captured and won, but she can, Mr. Holmes, never be solved. 3 seats, Dr. Watson.
right away. Within the hour, I had secured our tickets. As for Holmes and Miss Adler, by taking a series of cabs and carriages throughout the city, they managed to avoid being followed by Moriarty's men. We boarded the train just in the nick of time.
We've cut it rather close, haven't we, Watson? Matter of fact, there is the professor himself.
Moriarty!
He indeed is a master of the game.
Moriarty knows we're on this train?
And another minute, and he would have went on board with us.
What are we gonna do?
Well, I think the better question is, what will he do? Knowing that the train only makes one stop at Canterbury before arriving in Dover, Moriarty will no doubt engage in a special.
Precisely.
An express train that arrives in Dover
And hence Paris.
before we do.
But then what will we do?
When this train stops at Canterbury, we will disembark.
Make the cross-country trek to Folkestone.
Yes, and then we will board the Channel by boat to Dieppe.
And Moriarty will continue on to Paris.
And as he waits in vain for our arrival, we shall cross the border onto Brussels
Down through Luxembourg.
and off to Switzerland.
I don't understand. Why have we not just arrested the man right now?
The roundup of Moriarty's men begins tonight. The arrest must take place all at the same time so that Moriarty's cronies are not tipped off.
Holmes, but surely that we could...
In this way, when he returns to London, his enterprises will be crushed, and the police will be there waiting for him. Now, we must consult the map.
All went according to plan. As we got off the train in Canterbury, we saw the smoke coming from the express train approaching behind us. As it sped through the station, carrying Moriarty safely away into the distance, Holmes turned to me and said,
There remains but one final question.
"And what is that?"
Should we have lunch here or wait for the buffet in Folkestone?
We made our way to Brussels that night, taking rooms in a secluded hotel at the end of a dark street.
Watson, received a call from Inspector Lestrade.
What does he say? Have they begun the arrest?
They have begun the arrest presently, but with the exception of Larrabee and Moriarty.
What of them?
Well, Moriarty, for the most part, was found in a quarry.
For the most part.
His head was found bobbing in the river.
My God. And what of Moriarty?
Moriarty is somewhere loose on the continent.
The rooms on Baker Street, what happened to them?
They were set afire last evening.
When?
Last evening after we left.
My God, Holmes, what do we do?
Good sirs, there's no room for me at this hotel.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
It was my sister's funeral today, and she's all I had left in this world, and now nothing. No place to lay my head.
Oh, you poor woman. Take this money and see the concierge at the City Square Hotel.
Oh, thank you, sir. You have a kind heart.
He shall direct you across the street where there is a room waiting for you in jail under the name Madge Larrabee.
Oh, curse you, Sherlock Holmes.
Madge, I'm so sorry to hear of the loss of both your brothers. and his head.
Well, I warned him about that songbird of his. You see where love can lead.
Monstrous affliction, I quite agree.
Well, thanks to you, Moriarty has put a bounty on my head.
You needn't worry about Moriarty.
Well, he will find you. Mark my words. Moriarty will find you.
That's what they all say. Let's
I
go.
must remind you, Watson, that I am a most dangerous traveling companion. You must feel free to return to London at any chance you wish.
Holmes, I assure you.
If any harm befell you, my friend, I'm not certain what I would do with myself.
But I did not leave. In fact, at that moment, I resolved to never leave Holmes's side till this danger had surpassed. For a charming week, we wandered up the valley of the Rhone, our destination being the small village of Moringen, nestled away in the Swiss Alps.
Ah, Sherlock Holmes in the flesh. My wedding day is made.
And I have brought the gift that you desired.
History shall thank you, Mr. Holmes, for uniting the great houses of Europe. Ah, look at her. How will I ever vanquish her from my heart?
Leave that to me.
Irene!
I shall need your dagger. The heads of most men are mere appendages. Therefore,
No, please!
I shall give you what you so avidly seek.
No!
The absence of me. There. Our business is now completed.
As is ours.
Loved you, Irene.
You love your princess better.
We require logic. Something splendid and picturesque.
Yes, of course. There's an inn at the village gate. From there, you can follow the footpath to the falls.
Ah, what falls are you speaking of?
Reichenbach Falls.
No visit here is complete without them. The crashing waves, the tremendous abyss. An abyss as deep and dark as a man's broken heart.
Yes, you've made your point.
And then once we continue past these falls and travel on to the next village, I assume.
No, the path is cut halfway around the falls, but does not continue to the far side.
So a traveler must.
A traveler must always return the same way he came.
The king arranged rooms for us at the inn, and Holmes insisted we visit the falls at once. However, when I went to his room, he was nowhere to be found. From the corridor, I had heard voices. They seemed to be coming from Miss Adler's room.
No! Look, I'm saying that for one full week we've been traveling together. And every day you just stand out there in the doorway, knocking on my door, come into my room, and for what reason? To tell me about your pipes?
Miss Adler.
About your briar and your amberset, about your before breakfast pipe, how you prefer your clay pipe when you're studying, and your cherry pipe when you're arguing.
Miss Adler, please.
Oh, I would load that cherry pipe fiber into Mr. Holmes, because this argument has just begun.
Might I speak?
For what reason? To tell me, once again, about your recent article on the distinction between the ashes of various tobaccos?
First of all, it was not an article. It was a monograph.
Oh, I see.
And it featured color illustrations of over
150 types of tobacco.
153.
I don't care, Mr. Holmes. Don't you see? Day after day, I open my door to you, expecting to see some evidence of your heart, some awareness of what stands before you.
But-
In every case.
But just yesterday, I came to you and I spoke from my heart.
About medieval pottery. About Stradivarius violins and the Buddhist
is a man to say? Maybe I should ask the king or Mr. Larrabee, those paragons of heartbreak and deceit. I'm sure they knew all the proper words to say to a woman.
In matters of the heart, at least, they were men of courage.
And I am not? I take your point, Miss Adler. I shall come to your room no more. But before I go, I should like to show you this.
Limestone, A Brief History.
Filled with dazzling insights.
Can't be serious.
And also home to this. I've carried it with me since the day we met.
Not necessary, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, it may not be necessary. When we are on this earth, we are given food and shelter, sunlight and rain. A rose is extra. It is not a condition of life, but an embellishment of it.
Still, man may learn to live without it.
Or you may begin to live through it.
I believe in your case, Mr. Holmes. I find that impossible.
And Miss Adler, when one excludes the impossible, however improbable, whatever remains must be the truth.
Needless to say, I did not enter the room that night. Later that day, Holmes and I had set out on foot, and within 1 hour we had reached Reichenbach Falls.
Glorious, isn't it, Watson? A roaring chasm of foreverdom down into the deep black rock. Immense waterfall.
And it was at that moment that a young Swiss man had arrived.
Are you Dr. Watson?
Yes.
Ah, yes, very good. Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you.
What is it, Watson?
It's the envelope. It bears the hotel insignia. It's from the innkeeper.
And?
Miss Adler, she has fallen ill. The innkeeper feels that she may have been poisoned.
Watson, you must go. I will follow.
Says the local doctor is away. They've tried to contact him, but
Watson, you are a doctor. This is your greatest.
Holmes, I will not leave you alone.
Why? Because you fear my death? Watson, know this. If the book of my life were to close tonight, I shall not have lived in vain. Now, this is your greatest duty. You must go.
As I turned to leave, I observed him standing there, gazing at those brutal waters. It was the last that I would ever see of him in this world. Miss Adler, what are you doing?
Oh, reading a book given to me by Mr. Holmes. Though I must admit, my interest in ancient Inuit phrenology is not what it should be.
But I don't understand. I was told that you weren't feeling well.
I've never felt better. What is it, doctor?
You were not taken ill.
When?
I was at the falls with Mr. Holmes, and this urgent letter arrived saying that you'd been poisoned, that you needed a doctor at once, and it was a matter of great...
We've been deceived.
Yes. We raced down the village street, Miss Adler at my side, and we made for the path which I had just traversed. 1 hour later, we found ourselves at Reichenbach Falls. There was no sign of Holmes.
Look there!
Oh, and there in the soft mud on the path, one could clearly see...
Not one set of footprints, but two.
Indeed, there were steps of two men leading away towards the very end of the path. But there were no footsteps returning.
Holmes!
Holmes!
Holmes, are you there?
Holmes! There was no answer to our calls. Only our own voices echoing from the cliffs around us. When we returned to where Holmes had left his walking stick, I saw something gleaming amid the rocks. It was a silver cigarette case. Underneath the case was a piece of paper torn from Holmes's notebook, and it was addressed to me.
My dear Watson, I write these lines through the courtesy of Professor Moriarty, who patiently awaits the final discussion before us. As for the letter from the innkeeper, I was certain that it was a hoax, a fact that the professor has now confirmed. But, wanting only for your safety, I encouraged you to depart. I am sorry, Watson, that to vanquish my great enemy, I must bring sorrow to my dearest friend. Please forgive me, and know that all is now in order. I should like Miss Adler to keep my cigarette case. All I wish to say to her is written within. Do give my greetings to your dearest wife, and know me to be, forever, very sincerely yours,
Sherlock Holmes. Your path seems to have reached its end.
as well as yours, Professor.
I should be careful you don't kill us both.
It is both or nothing.
When Miss Adler had opened the case, she found nothing but a small photograph, one edge still bearing the marks of a knife, and on the back, in Holmes's own hand, were written these words,
Fino Domine.
and nothing more.
Until tomorrow.
Little now remains for me to tell. An examination by experts left no doubt that the fight between the two men ended in a reeling fall over the edge. Locked in each other's arms, a final death grip which carried them down into the pounding waters, where they remain to this very day. A generation's greatest criminal and its foremost champion of law, together forever in the depths of that tremendous cauldron, that dreadful watery abyss. It was obvious, of course, that the fall of that kind could not be survived, and that any attempt to recover the bodies was hopeless. To which I can only imagine Holmes's reply.
The most deceptive fact, Watson, is always the most obvious.
Holmes,